So I'm so grateful today. We are here again, and this is a very unique opportunity to have all of you here. Like, I started my journey with Ryan Longenecker. I was very hopeless. I didn't know what to do, but in my heart, I knew something great happening to me. And then I saw these amazing people here, and I'm so grateful. Finally, we had a very good success, not only with my health, but only with this book, Naturally Conceive. And you can see this. And this book actually got bestseller 2 times on Amazon, and now today is on paperback copy. And we aim to share this message with everybody who's struggling with fertility issues, and just want to show you that there is hope. You shouldn't be disappointed if you are diagnosed with unexplained fertility, if you are over 40 of age, because we have these amazing people who already help a lot of patients, and they some of them have their own fertility issues and they overcome. And I just want to share their message with you. These are top experts in the world, and they are very well known, and I'm very, very honored to have them. So today I'm gonna start with Ryan Longenecker. Thank you, Ryan, for being here. My journey start with Ryan. And when I came to Ryan, I already switched 2 times from other acupuncturists to Ryan. And I had too much problem, like hormone balance, IVF problem, and nothing worked for me. And Ryan was very positive. He said, let's just go to work. Don't worry about whatever happened. Let's be positive and start your treatment. So I have Ryan here. Ryan is acupuncturist. He's traditional Chinese medicine a practitioner. He has a bachelor science in science. And his quote from Naturally Conceived, he said, hard masses and noodles are thought to be an accumulation of phlegm deposits and can cause fertility issues, because I had a lot of phlegm, right? So tell me about my story and what happened when I came to you, Ryan.
No, thanks for having me, first of all, and thank you for sharing your story as well. You're right; it does help to inspire others. So what happened with you? Okay, so yeah, you gave a little bit of background already, but you had kind of gone through the rigmarole of your typical fertility patient, right? You kind of had your IUIs, your IVFs, and you're kind of sick with it at the time, right? You just said,
Yes.
I'm done with these hormones and what it's doing to my body. I think you were having some pretty bad reactions to them as well, too, right?
Yes.
Yes, you were kind of saying, you know what, I've gone this road. I don't like where it's taking me so far. It worked for a lot of people, but it wasn't seem to be working for you. So you thought your body still had the natural opportunity to do it on your own. And so you went with your gut, and you decided to, see what we can do for you. So thank you for trusting us with your health.
Yeah.
So yeah, at the time, I think you had 2 IUIs, and you were going through IVF at the time. I think that's right.
I had 2 IUIs, 2 IVF, two
Two.
years of medication. Yes.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff. And you just said, I feel like it's kind of wreaking havoc on me. So I think part of why you want to come into is you kind of wanted to clean your body of this, kind of give yourself a fresh start, right?
Yes.
So that's what we were kind of working on as well. And in
Yes.
Chinese medicine, we kind of look at the liver in that kind of scenario. Your liver helps to detox yourself. It helps to move and get the blood flowing. So that's kind of what we focused on when you first came in. But
Mm-hmm.
also when you came in, you told us some of the reasons that your doctors anyway thought you weren't getting pregnant was because of the fibroids you're experiencing, and
Yes.
that was blocking some of the tubes. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So the
Tubes.
reason my quote here made it in is because I think you're kind of interested in how we saw these nodules, right? And
Yes.
so in Chinese medicine, we do look at the body a little bit differently. We kind of look at like the planet, right? There's forces like hot, cold, dampness, dryness happening, and when things are really accumulated, we call those phlegm deposits. And I know in Western medicine, we're thinking phlegm like in the lungs, but we kind of extend that idea in Chinese medicine to other nodules and masses of the body. And so we treated your nodules as a phlegm. So a lot of the herbs I gave you and a lot of the acupuncture doing were trying to resolve that phlegm, shrink down those nodules. And
Yeah.
this is the result.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ryan. That's, I guess, what I learned in your office and connecting with other fertility experts is that it should be mind and body connection in healing. So you cannot just go to your symptoms and go and remove them. In my case, I thought when you do the blood test and everything is all right, you are good to go. Or when you do your scan for your body, you don't have any fertility problem, then you feel that, oh, why this is happening to me, why I have unexplained infertility. And then I just know that I have a cold body. And then he said you have to have more warm food. Then I realized, wow, I never thought about it because I had a lot of salad, right, cold food. And then I realized, oh, I have to be more cautious about what I'm eating. And the dairy products, you say you have to remove the dairy product, and I listened to your words and I did. It didn't take too long, like 2 months, less than 2 months, right? And my body was very prepared, I guess, after removing the toxin.
I think because
Okay,
your mind was even more prepared.
exactly. So I have a question. How was your experience with contributing this book?
Oh, it was great. You're great to work with. It's always great connecting with you, and seeing your daughter growing up in front of my eyes too. It's rewarding to believe that I was part of this process. But
Yes.
yeah, it was great. You had a lot of feedback for me, so it was great. First, we had a conversation, and you just kind of took what you thought was important for the book, and then you said, "Okay, this is my understanding of what you said," and you kind of wrote it out yourself, and then said, "Just look it over, make sure I'm representing it properly," and then we just kind of fine tuned and tweaked it, and because I live and breathe this stuff every day, right? So sometimes I get stuck in how I think of it, but it was good to get your perspective on like how a layperson sees it, because I know Chinese medicine can be kind of hard to describe for some people. So I'm glad you kind of clarified and made it easy for the
Exactly.
average person to read it.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ryan. We go to next
Thank
person.
you.
Stay with us. We're gonna continue our discussion. We have some fun stuff coming. All right. Then I go to Chu. Chu Moy. I tell you who is she. She actually a specialist in acupuncture. She is in so many shows on TV, and she has a lot of. She's a very famous person, and she's actually amazing. When I talk to her, I learn so many things in an interview with her. She talked about seasonal food, right? She said something interesting. Stress is not only emotional state of you, it's also what you force your body, right? And then she said, if you eat ice cream, let's say in winter, it's kind of a stress, right, Shu? Yes. So, tell me about yourself, Chu. First of all, how did you find out you want to do acupuncture for fertility? Because you didn't have any fertility issue, I know.
Well, I'm an older, I had my daughter a little bit older, and while I was actually getting treated quite regularly with acupuncture because I was in graduate school, and being in over 35, which is considered, geriatric maternal age, that of course I had to get my everything checked. And I'm grateful that I was actually in my last year of graduate school and really had access to Chinese medicine, and also the principles of how you eat and you sleep, and all of those things. Going through training is really where you are also like doing the work as well, right? And so in terms of how I ended up to really specialize with more fertility is, the women that were coming to me 19 years ago, That was just after a study had come out in 2002 in Germany, where they had looked at women that were receiving acupuncture, how it dramatically improved their outcomes. So by like 42%, it was a very large number, irrefutable number. And the women that were in the study were really like later. They were in their late 30s and maybe early 40s. And so I had many women that were coming to me because they had married later and now they wanted to have a child. And so it was really, the urgency was there, and they were going to go through IUIs and IVF cycles. And so I realized, as in my own book, the first person I think that I clearly, I would say, helped, who had come specifically for that, that, I became much more aware of what women were experiencing going to these fertility clinics, and how like just listening to what they're being told. And it was just so contrary to what we learn in Chinese medicine, or and really about cultivating health, and how that oftentimes going to a fertility clinic is also damaging to the person in a way of, dashing their hopes, giving them, facts and figures which are not true, giving them a statistic which is really based on other people's numbers, and really terrifying them, and taking advantage of, many of the cultural biases towards women in health, in the health field. And so Chinese medicine has thousands of years of experiential medicine, and in treating women's health in particular. And so I knew that, what they were being told was maybe like a half truth, or not even like a half truth. It would be like, oh yes, you can look at this stuff and look at it from that perspective. But, we have this incredible gift as women to conceive and carry a child and promote life. And so turning fertility or wanting to have a baby into this medical procedure is really kind of counter to life. It's really, and so being able to help these women facilitate their own healing, really, I have to say that they came to me, right? And so that's, where I ended up, I guess more specializing in that and being known for that. And I hate to say so much today that continues the terrifying women into, they better freeze their eggs early, and that they're losing their fertility. They better, like as soon as they hit a certain number, that it's all downhill. And so I have to, disband those myths about it, and really, address the mindset. One of the things that I say is clear the cookies on your computer and your phone, all your searches, because otherwise you're going to be inundated with ads for all kinds of things based on your searches. And so we start to look at all of these forces that are also intruding on your the choices that you're going to make and how you think about yourself. And again, that mind-body connection, what it is these the Western model really separates the physical part, very scientific, from the mind spiritual part, which is not what, when you want to have a child, that mind-body connection and spirit and the energy have to be in alignment, right? So it's not just the food, and it's really like all of those things combined together. So having a child is a form of spiritual binding, right? With another person, right? There's some kind of divine energy. And in science or Western medicine, that is not something that is really discussed. And often that is treating someone as a whole person, not their reproductive organs, not their numbers, but the whole person, because that's who they are, right? Is going to make a really big difference. And really, as a facilitator, right? I'm a facilitator. And that what you had said earlier, the mind-body connection, really like acupuncture, herbs, all of the principles in Chinese medicine and part of the culture is cultivating health. And that's
Exactly.
where, yeah, so fertility health is a symptom of overall health. And so you look at the whole picture of the person.
And the great thing about your book, you talk about feng shui,
The feng
right?
shui, yeah.
Feng shui, and I never thought about it. But that's interesting because what you see affect your body, right? If your the settlement of the furniture, for example, in your room is not pleasant, by seeing these settlement, it affect your emotional state and definitely your health, right? Is interesting.
Absolutely. Set and setting, like all, I mean, we know that, you know, if you're in buildings with no windows, or you're in cramped, or, you know, in an environment where you have to use that energy to push out clutter and things, that it steals energy. But when you go and you go out into nature and you see a beautiful garden, and, you know, realize that you're connected to something greater, right? That is that different, it's a different kind of energy and vibration that you are experiencing. So we know a lot of people, they can't stand going to the office. Oftentimes they're like stuck in little cubicles. There's noise. Their buildings are considered sick buildings, right?
Mm,
They don't foster life. There's no greenery. There's no natural sunlight. And these are all things that help us thrive, right? And they
exactly.
affect our sleep cycles, our
Yeah.
mood, big, like all of it. You have to look at the whole thing.
So, what was your experience for contributing this book?
Well, I have to say it was a lot of fun, because I think it started out with, I guess it was an interview for your podcast, right?
Yes, it started
And
there.
yeah, and so I was surprised at how many notes you took, and how much that, you know, you were listening. I wouldn't say surprised, but you were a good note taker and a listener, and so it was very refreshing that, you know, it made it like really, really easy. And then also, you know, the some of the back and forth of clarification, you know, to help make the information much more digestible,
Mhm.
and also really hopefully to impart, you know, something different, something new for you know, women or couples that are seeking something else other than what they have been experiencing.
Thank you.
And so I think that's really important, that it's not just about diet and taking supplements, that
Yeah,
there is another aspect that is not always talked about, right? And
yeah.
so it
Thank
was
you
a
so
great
much.
experience.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have a question from Ryan. I just pop in my mind first.
Sure.
Uh, say Ryan, you talk about Tai Chi as well. I just wanna, because now we're talking about our energy, so I don't want to miss this part. Why Tai Chi is so important, and you recommend Tai Chi to everybody?
I'm a little biased because I'm a Kung Fu practitioner myself. I also teach it. But Tai Chi is more accessible to many people. It's doesn't matter how young or how old you are, you can do it. So some of the Kung Fu forms are very active, and if you have a bad knee, it's hard for you to do. But Tai Chi is fantastic. It teaches you proper alignment, positioning. It gives that mind-body-spirit connection as well too. When you move slowly, you're able to focus on every little movement you do. You can see how many mistakes you're making at the same time too. And Tai Chi is really based upon rooting. So it talks about how you maintain that connection to the earth, and that's where you get your power from. You basically channel it from the earth through your body to whatever your target is. So just the fact that you're trained. I mean, the word kung fu itself is beautiful to me. It just means great skill achieved through hard work and dedication. So, and Tai Chi is translates to supreme ultimate. So it's the supreme ultimate form of training. So that's why I recommend it. So it's a good mind, body, spirit training. It has all basically.
Thank you so much. Now we go to Dr. Manon Bolliger. I love having her in my book. She talk about PTSD and childhood trauma and how it can affect fertility, because I also was a PTSD warrior for a while, and I knew that I have to process the PTSD in order to get pregnant. Dr. Manon Bolliger is not only a naturopathy doctor, she's also founded a Bond Therapy, and she has a college with more than 2,500 students. And she has a lot to say about PTSD and how it can affect fertility. She also have her own book about the healing. You can refer to her book as well. Okay, thank you for being here. I didn't know that you connect as well. I'm so happy you could make it.
Yeah, no. Well, thank you for inviting me, and I really enjoyed being part of this process. And I think what you're sharing is super empowering, and I think that has been always my position as a naturopathic doctor for 30 years now. It's really, and we're not allowed to specialize in our according to our board, so I can't even say this, but when you have people in pain, that's how it starts. It starts with looking at the whole person. There is no way of separating a physical thing from an emotional, I think, from a history, from a context, from all of that. And so that's what I teach at also at bowencollege.com. That's my college. And how it fits into fertility is, well, I've had my own experience actually, which I don't even remember if I shared, but I'll get to that in a second. But I think it's that we focus always on one thing, and whether it's the hormones or whether it's the sperm motility or whether it's the fallopian tubes or whatever. And what I do is I tell people, okay, just give me a moment here. You've got one entire body and you're in this stress mode. Right? I think everyone knows what that is in this last year or two. And the thing is, if you're in that mode, you can't heal and you can't create. It's impossible. And so that's what this work does. Now, when you start this work, the body so wants to heal that things come up. And so we heal traumas, we heal things that are in the way of our best beingness in order to create our a child, a future, a life. It's all the same thing. We cannot be in fight or flight. We cannot be in fear to heal. So that's kind of, and just a little bit about my story, which I really don't remember if I told you this, but it all started when I had I took one of the IUDs that was. There was a class action suit, and I was told that I would be infertile. I had so-called 25% chance of fertility. And so I thought, okay, well, that's an interesting number. How do we get that? Again, I'm gonna test it. So of course I got pregnant. I have 3 beautiful children who are adults now. The other thing that I also tested is I was told that I needed to have I could not have vaginal birth because my pelvic structure was so tiny that there's no way I could give birth. And so I thought, okay, well, and this is, don't forget, this is ages ago, right? We're talking about 35 plus years ago, which is ages as far as, I had wondered whether any of these people had ever traveled, because I was not the smallest structure in the world. And I knew that there were places all around the world that had vaginal births. And that was another thing. I heard the same opinion 8 times. So I was trying to get another perspective on this. And I couldn't get another perspective because they all read the same thing. And so that really opened up my eyes to, well, there's more. And as it turned out, I had a midwife that lived across the street. I was at that point in Montreal. There was a snowstorm. There was no way on earth I could go to any hospital. I had my first child in 7.5 hours vaginally without a problem. So here we go again, right? What are you believe? It's not just, it is mindset, but it's also question the narrative. Where is it coming from? You know, and trust yourself. So that's really what I wanted to share. And so any couples out there that feel like they're not hearing answers, I really recommend that they read your book, and look at different stories of hope. And I know you're going to ask me what was my process like, so I'm just going to run with it. It was fantastic. You facilitated a very open place for contribution, for discussion, and I really love what you've done. So thank you so much, Panteo.
Yeah, thank you so much for being part of it. Thank you. It's added a lot of value to this book. Yeah. You know, as I said, my mission is just creating awareness. I didn't know, Manon, that naturopathy exists before my pregnancy. Didn't know. I didn't know how acupuncture helps. I was a bit suspicious about acupuncture. So that's what I'm saying. Like, not everybody knows about this process. That's the awareness can do. And is not only naturopathy, is not only acupuncture. There is also functional medicine. And I also have here Dr. Carol Lourie. I really, really respect her because she's a package. She has a lot of skills in functional medicine, naturopathy, and she's also a homeopathy experts. And right, functional. Did I miss something? Yeah. Was
no,
that right?
you got everything. And I'm really honored to be here with all these wonderful fellow acupuncturists and naturopaths and everyone else. And what I'd like to add, and everyone has said everything that I agree with, is that there is no such thing as unexplained infertility or unexplained any disease. There is always a reason for an illness. The key, I feel, is that we need to get quiet enough to begin a conversation with the illness and our bodies and our minds and see where the disruption has occurred. And I specialize in fertility for older women who have had miscarriages or failed IUIs or failed IVFs. I was an older mom. I had a miscarriage. I didn't have to go under any fertility treatment, but I've worked with hundreds of women undergoing fertility treatment, and it is a very difficult experience on the body and on the mind. And we need to really support the woman and the couple in the decision to do that emotionally and physically. And that's where the skills of acupuncture and Chinese medicine and naturopathic medicine, functional medicine, homeopathy all come in, because we can help strengthen the body and the mind and detox from the hormones that are necessary for this procedure, if that's what they've chosen. Ideally, women come to us before they get to that point, but that's not always the reality of life. And where I live in the Bay Area, there are several fertility centers which refer to people such as myself, and we work in conjoint treatment modalities with the fertility places. So that's very exciting.
Yes, and thank you for a nice review on my book. I added on the book cover of my book. It is rare that a book covers the complex and multifaceted, as I'm announcing, right? Fertility topics. Yeah, faceted fertility topics so thoroughly. Dr. Carol Lourie. Thank you so much. And then I
Oh, it's
have,
the truth.
yeah, thank you. And that's my purpose because I have those holistic medicine here. I just want to show you that it's possible and we have to connect to each other. And as you, I will ask some question from you as well later.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm gonna go back to Robin. So whoever doesn't know Robin, she actually I added her last minute. I was almost finished with my book, but then I realized, okay, she is the real example of how she could overcome her belief because she was diagnosed with with infertility, right? And she didn't believe it. And the great thing, she had an example of having her dog grooming and taking care of her instead of her baby. And she practiced this with herself, bringing this belief in her. And she is also a hypnotherapist, right? And she do holistic medicine with her clients as well. So welcome and thank you for being part of my book.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I've enjoyed everybody's different aspects of how they view the infertility realm as well. Because, yeah, with my infertility, I did, it medically, they said I had the PCOS too, the polycystic ovarian syndrome, simply because, well, I had a cyst one time, so then they label it as that. But really, was that unexplained infertility. I didn't know why I wasn't getting pregnant because logically I should have gotten pregnant and I just wasn't. And I spent over 5.5 years of not being able to conceive. And my doctor had told me in 2008 that I'd never be able to have children and just to enjoy my sister's kids because, well, she could have kids and I couldn't. And to me, it's just, there was no reason why I couldn't. And so I kept going through it. And then when my niece was born, she's 13 now, but when she was born, I'm just like, I made that promise to myself that I'm going to do no matter what it takes to conceive. I'm going to have a baby. Even if I just get one, I'll just leave it at that then, but I got more than one.
Great. So, Robin, just a recommendation. You said hypnotherapy really help you get pregnant. So how does it help?
How it helps is really being able to break through that self-limiting beliefs and decisions that we are unaware of that we actually make. We can make them as a child, or we can make them when we're in that teenage years as to we're never going to have children, that this isn't right for us. Or, it's really different beliefs that we have that we carry around with us, and being able to remove those using hypnosis or using mental and emotional release therapy is extremely powerful because I've been able to help other people conceive as well. And I'll tell you right now, once you turn those on, there's not like, I want to say like turn it on. There's like, once you start turning on that power of your mindset of, okay, I can have one child, there's like no shutting it off, because here I am 6 pregnancies later and I'm like, okay, there really is no way to shut it off, which is fine. But it's also, I've had the 5 C-sections in the last 5 years. Mm-hmm. So it is extremely powerful, this mindset is, and being able to overcome the PTSD and different things that a lot of us are unaware that does affect our fertility. Trauma 100% affects it.
Exactly. So Robin, how was your experience contributing to this book?
It was exciting because I had like 2 days, because you'd asked me like right before you'd finish your book, you're like, if you can write something, for me and, to contribute to the book. And I'm like, well, sure, I'll do that. And I was still pregnant. I'm like, I think it's about a week before I delivered.
Due, right? Yeah, she was due and writing before go to hospital.
Yeah, and I remember being like, yes, I want to be able to contribute because this is awesome. I love the idea of it. I love, all of the information, because I seriously wish that I would have had this book when I was out and down and thinking I'd never have children.
Yeah.
You know,
Thank you.
yeah, it's extremely powerful.
Yeah. We have AmandaTesta. She also joined us. We're going to get back to her after Elizabeth King. Thank you so much for being here, Amanda. Hang on. She's mute.
Oh, thank you for having
Sorry. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for making it. I know you had clients, you had a busy life, but you could make it. Thank you so much. So, Elizabeth King, let's start with her. Okay. Thank you for being here, Elizabeth. Actually, Elizabeth is my thinking partner because we are both fertility coach and we share a lot of things together and we go on success together. So we help each other a lot. I learned supporting the like-minded people. It help you to add value to what you know because you can transfer a lot of idea and experience together. She has 3 beautiful kids. She didn't believe her fertility issues, and with all the problems and struggling that she had, she finally conquered her fear and had her kids.
Thank you so much for having me, Pantea, and it's so great to be with all of you as well. Yeah, so to echo what everyone else is saying, I think it's mainly about your own mindset, right? And it's a common theme here. Society tells us if you're over 35, or in my case, I was over 40, that, you know, your eggs are bad. I remember I went to go get my eggs frozen at 30 and they said no, because I was too young. I went back at 36 and he said, well, we'll do it now, but just because your 36-year-old eggs are as good as it's going to get, basically. Well, it turns out I ended up getting pregnant naturally on my own 3 times with 3 healthy babies. And my 36-year-old eggs weren't able to thaw and get to where they needed to be. So I often really push on people, as much as they're willing to hear, is that you really do need a fertility team behind you. And that includes your naturopathic, your functional doctor, your acupuncturist, your hypnosis person too. If somebody is having unexplained fertility and there's no reason for it, I always say, let's go in deeper and inside and see what's going on with your family history, what's happening on a subconscious level that maybe you're not aware of that's blocking you. Because I agree with Dr. Carol that there's really no such thing as unexplained fertility. It's really finding your team and your people that are willing to do the work with you to get you that positive pregnancy test and the healthy pregnancy for that matter. So I love just kind of telling people as well that we are here to write our own story. We don't need to buy into the under 35, over 35 situation. And having these books like The Naturally Conceived gives people the hope to know that the world we live in is different now. It's unusual that people are having babies at 25. So what can we do at 35 plus to still maintain our healthy hormones and all the good stuff that we need in order to have a healthy baby. So thank you for doing the work you do and raising the awareness that needs to be there and bringing all these amazing people to the forefront so that people know that there is such a thing as a fertility team. It does take more than just your, RE, for example, and it's in conjunction with somebody else if you do need to go down that route. But oftentimes, if you're seeing all these alternative aspects, you don't need to go down the ART route. So, and it is possible.
Exactly. You can have a shortcut really with acupuncture, with naturopathy and all of this holistic medicine. I really found that some people, whenever they have problem, okay, let's go to IVF. But where is the root cause issue? What maybe there is something wrong with your issue. Go to other elements of your body, see what's wrong with it. Yeah, you're right. And it's great to have holistic medicine beside medical, conventional medical medicine, because they should work together, to my opinion.
Absolutely.
So, we have now AmandaTesta. Thank you so much for making it and join us. Thank you for joining us. Amanda is a relationship expert, and she actually helps couples to have more energy communicating with each other. And she said the more space you allow in communication, the more trust will be built. Take turns, especially men, do not have this opportunity to talk about their vulnerability. Yeah.
Yeah,
Is
thank you.
that right?
Well, one of the things that I was pointing to in that was that, you know, when we are going through the fertility journey, there, you know, there's so many ups and downs, there's so much stress, there's so many things to tend to, which is why, like everyone's saying, it's so beautiful to have a team of support, because, you know, not only do you need to work on your own health and your mindset and your body and all the things, but also your relationship is really important as well, because the triggers can happen, right? It feels more challenging to connect. There's a lot more stress around sex and intimacy, whether or not you are, you know, taking hormones or all the things that sometimes you do or not, right? If you're just working holistically, but having that strong connection with your partner can be such a huge aspect of this creation process. And so, and oftentimes, specifically in this conversation, we were talking about, like in heterosexual couples, the male, often they don't have a lot of opportunities to talk about their vulnerabilities or their insecurities. And so the more you can create these opportunities to share, you know, what are the things that you are afraid of? What are the things that you desire? You know, what are the things that you love about each other, and really having those conversations on a regular basis to check in and to share what's alive, because again, that creates this deeper connection. And I think while you're going through the fertility journey, sometimes if there's challenges around intimacy, you know, maintaining connection in other ways can be such a way to boost your bonding so that you can, you know, get through it even stronger as a couple.
Oh, okay. Yes, exactly. Because as Dr. Manon said, creation is not happening with one person, because this is two people working together. And in my book, all of you read my book, you know, this is also your book as well, right? So in part of it, we talk about the productivity, how we can be productive and how we can create something. If you are, as you said, in fight and flight mode, or unfortunately, you cannot create anything, because you are trying to just conquer your fears and your problems. So you don't have time to go through creation. You don't have that readiness. You don't have that energy to go through the creation. Yes, I totally believe. So I'm going to go back to Dr. Carol about the homeopathy, because I know a lot of people are very suspicious about homeopathy these days. And I just want to know how it can help.
That's interesting that people are suspicious of something that's such a harmless and helpful modality. And I think that unfortunately there has been a lot of medical saying bad things about homeopathy. It was discovered in the late 1800s by a physician in Germany by the name of Samuel Hahnemann. And he discovered that there are certain substances that you can use which mimic an illness, and that was the beginning of the homeopathic philosophy, like treats like. So there are substances that are toxic in nature, for example, a snake venom or certain chemicals, which when given in very minute doses, which don't have any live molecular product to them, really can address some of the symptoms that a person is displaying. So there is acute homeopathy, which we use when we're treating an acute condition such as a cold or a sprain or an arm break, or maybe even an acute migraine headache. Or also right now I've been seeing a lot of people for acute symptomatic treatment from the viral pandemic we've been having. And then there's constitutional homeopathy, which is based more on what in the world of naturopathic, functional, and Chinese medicine would be comprehensive case taking. And we look at all of those little weird symptoms that nobody ever asks, like, how do you like to sleep at night? Do you sleep on your side? Is the window open or closed? Do you need a light on? What are your dreams like? And it's not from a therapy point of view, but it's from a place of guiding the practitioner. Is this person an animal remedy, a mineral remedy, a plant remedy? What are your fears? What kind of foods do you like? What kinds of thoughts do you have in your mind? All of these go into finding the right homeopathic remedy. And when you find that right remedy, it's sort of like if you look at our being as a puzzle and you find that right remedy, it's like the last piece of the puzzle. So your whole physical system, your nervous system, all of your cells are operating at their highest, calmest level. And homeopathy and fertility is a wonderful combination. It's a wonderful modality. It will always support the woman, and postpartum, it's great for mom and for babe. And you never have to worry about it harming someone, because it doesn't work. It will either work or not work, but it will never create harm.
Yeah, because it's natural. Everything is natural, not hurting anybody. When you use a chemical, it's more destructive. It has a lot of side effect, right?
Right. But I believe in taking the best of both worlds and not making it either or. In dealing with chronic disease and serious complex disease states, sometimes I think you do need drugs and chemicals. The object is to have a baby. The object is to live if you have breast cancer, or any other type of cancer. So I believe in taking the best of both worlds. And it's not about competition. It's about using what everyone has to offer. And then, as someone here said, I think don't underestimate the power of an experienced coach. Why is it that you think you can use Dr. Google to figure this all out when do you think you should be able to fix your own car or do your own dental work? I mean, we all need experts to help guide us through these complicated situations.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much. Because that's, as I said, that's the purpose of this show, to just show that what is homeopathy, what is naturopathy, what are the role of them in helping women with fertility issues. Yeah, and we're just trying to add this to this show. So I know Chu need to go, but do you have any words to add to this? And then we're going to go back to Dr. Manon. She's going to talk about homeopathy and she's going to add something.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for putting this on. Yeah, it's, I love like what everyone is like, you know, how they're addressing from their, from where they have their expertise and contributing to, you know, like the whole picture of where, you know, women's health is. And I think of it in a big way as women's health is very different from men's health, because, and also the model that, the medical model, which is considered the standard, which makes, you know, speaking about alternatives or complementary, I really want to put out there that that continues, that, you know, kind of perpetuates the fact that we're on the side. And the fact is that what we all do is extremely powerful, and that's what makes the difference, right? And so, you know, is it complementary to, you know, to what? You know, like it's really, in some cases, you know, the Western model is life-saving, but not used appropriately, it actually damages. And in one thing with the fertility and with the reproductive endocrinology, what is actually happening is biohacking. They like that, biohacking and endocrine disrupting. So how do you know, what are the principles of disrupting the natural cycle to force something that is not natural happening? And if a woman is struggling, and there's also a kind of an idea of like she should be getting pregnant by now, is really basing it on what, right? And really like looking at, there's so much more that is happening all around that can be interfering with the getting pregnant, and definitely the energetic relationship between the partner, the environment, the past traumas that often need to be addressed, because those are energy and they become these blocks. So that there's so many different aspects to, or so many different ways in which we can look at how are we going to empower these women.
Exactly.
And, yeah. And so that's what makes your book is great, because it's not like, oh, just do diet. It's really like, look at it from many different angles, because it could be that one thing, you're doing everything perfectly, right? Perfection is also like a problem with fertility. It can actually impede fertility. But it could be like one thing, one slight thing that needs to be shifted, and then everything lines up. And so, so that's the beauty of what you're writing about, is really encompassing all of these other angles and possibilities in which to enter into the eventual success of becoming parents.
I really appreciate
it. Yeah, and doing it non-medicalized.
Yeah, exactly. Because I talked to one of another doctor, Dr. Janel Louise. I really wish she could make it, but she couldn't. And she also talked about the same thing. She said, people come to me when there is no way, when they tried everything and they are very disappointed, and they come to me. But you just imagine with whatever she said, like Chu, if from the beginning, instead of wasting too much time and energy, go and have a checkup from your body, whole body system. Doesn't hurt so long, right?
Exactly. It doesn't help. And I think that with whatever we're doing, I mean, a big component of my practice, we could call it coaching, is really like working on that, we call the mind, I would say the mind spiritual aspect of, really clearing out all of those belief systems that create energetic blocks, and not just of your own, but there are also these energetic blocks of what other people say to you. The expectation, right? You walk in the doctor's office. Oh, I would have expected this would have worked. Like, what's wrong? We did everything perfectly. And so there's a lot in terms of when, women are looking to get pregnant. There are a lot of people that have a lot to say about what's wrong.
Oh, you shouldn't listen.
Not really what's right.
Exactly. You shouldn't listen to her. So what we have, Dr. Manon, because we have 6 minutes to go.
Yeah.
And
I'm going to check out. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Right.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Nice to meet everyone, and very excited to share with you all. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Manon, tell me about what you wanted to add.
I wanted to add a point that actually came up also with Tsao, and also with Dr. Carol Lourie too, is, from my perspective as a naturopathic physician, our first duty is, it's part of the Hippocratic Oath, first do no harm. And if we start with that, then when we look at things that we may not understand, like from a public perspective, like how could homeopathy work? It's nothing diluted past something impossible. There's nothing there. If that's just look at it, see what happens with people who have used it. Look at the impact it's had on young children, on nursing children, on babies, on pregnancy, on animals. I had a farm in Nova Scotia. I used homeopathy on my goats. They weren't arguing or believing or needing to be aligned with it. They just took it.
Wow, amazing.
The point is, if it is not harmful. And I think that's the thing, because not all natural things are harmless. We know that most of pharmaceuticals is based on an aspect of natural. Just look at everything and look at it. If it does no harm and you're not finding solutions with a standard approach, open your eyes. And I would say also for Bowen therapy, it's very not known, and it needs to be known, because these are solutions that really help people. So those are my first my words, and thank you again.
Thank you so much. Because we have 4 minutes, we're gonna go back to Lourie, Dr. Lourie, and then get back to Elizabeth and Amanda.
Sure.
What is your last word to encourage people when they have this issue for fertility?
It's not an accident that you're here and you found Pantea and all of us. It's a spiritual journey. You need to be gentle with yourself and hold on to your belief that anything is possible. And you also have to be willing to divest yourself of things that aren't serving you, that you no longer need, to make room for new habits, new healthy lifestyle, and your new little being. And there are many ways to have a child, and to be open to all of them. But also, as a natural doctor, I always believe that natural is best and natural comes first. But if that's not your path, then I'm happy to support you on whatever your path is. You need to be willing to show up and really do the work emotionally and physically. And there's a lot of things that might need to change, and to be fearless in your approach towards that. And I've been very honored to be here with all these wonderful practitioners.
Yeah, thank you, Carol. And Amanda, what is your last word? Oh,
there we go. Yeah. So I, agreed. This is such a beautiful resource. And I think what I would share when it comes to your relationship and your own relationship with yourself and your own sexuality is just to really, again, be loving to yourself and know that this is a really important part of taking care of yourself. I really love to use pleasure as nervous system nourishment so that you can really take care of yourself, be very loving to yourself, and making sure that your partnership is supportive as well. So yes, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, I have Elizabeth King. What is your last word?
Build your fertility team. Keep the faith that it is possible. As Dr. Carol said, we're so lucky right now to live in a time where we have so many opportunities to become a parent. So if it doesn't end up the way that you think, talk to a coach or a therapist or somebody else that can talk to you about your plan B or C, because there's many ways to get there now. We are so fortunate. But there's so many resources as well if you do still want to try naturally.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for all of you being part of this. Thank you for trusting me, having you in this book. And I did my best to promote you through all the media outlets. And this book done amazing so far. And hopefully whoever get this book have more faith and hope in their fertility issues, and know that there is always a solution. Even if you are diagnosed with unexplained fertility, as everybody says, there is no unexplained. There is always hope, and there is always explanation for something. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, and congratulations, Pantea, on your success with the book.
Yes, congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Please.
One.
Thank you so much. Please subscribe to Panta Calhoun Transition channel and order my book Naturally Conceived through Amazon. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to Panta Calhoun Transition channel and order my book Naturally Conceived through Amazon. Thank you for watching.